Good morning, Sinkers and Nevis, and welcome to The Edge here on ZIZ Radio 96.1 FM. I'm your host for today, Devonne Cornelius. Thank you so much for joining me on the program for Tuesday, February 27th, 2024. It is 3 minutes past the 11 o'clock hour. The numbers to call to participate in the conversation for today are 465-2555 or 718-577-2916, and we will open the phone lines later for you to call and lend your contribution and your voice to the topic at hand that we'll be discussing. This program is also live via ZIZ TV, ZIZ's YouTube page, and ZIZ's Facebook channel. Thank you so much for joining me on the discussion for today. And let me begin by providing some brief updates on the 46th regular meeting, and then we will get into the discussion at hand. And so, as you may be aware, the Prime Minister of St. Kitts and Nevis, the Honorable Dr. Terence Drew, is currently in Guyana participating in the 46th regular meeting of the Conference of Heads of Government of the Caribbean Community, CARICOM. On Monday, CARICOM Chairman and President of the Cooperative Republic of Guyana, His Excellency Dr. Mohamed Irfan Ali, hosted a special luncheon for the CARICOM Heads of Government and specially invited guests attending the conference. The luncheon allowed for the heads of government, including Prime Minister Drew, to partake in a traditional Guyanese cuisine. The conversation focuses on, that is at the 46th regular meeting, it focuses on the issue of crime and violence, regional security, climate financing, among other things. Additionally, the Prime Minister and his delegation engaged with the Honorable Shirley Botchway, Minister of Foreign Affairs of Ghana, and the esteemed candidate for Commonwealth Secretary General, alongside other Ghanaian officials, to deliberate on enhancing diplomatic ties between St. Kitts and Nevis and Ghana. The Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis and the Republic of Ghana have maintained diplomatic relations formalized by a signed agreement since June of 1993. Just a brief update on the 46th regular meeting of the Conference of Heads of Government currently taking place in Guyana as we speak. And as more updates come, I will be sharing with you so that we are aware what is happening on the regional level and how St. Kitts and Nevis is a part of the conversation. Let's take a very short break, and when I come back, we'll get right into the conversation at hand. We'll open the phone lines and give you an opportunity to lend your voice to the discussion. We'll take a short break. We'll be right back. Stay tuned.
From the heart of ZIZ Radio comes a political talk show like no other. The Edge, with host Devonne Cornelius giving you his take on the biggest stories happening in governance today. Got something to say? Let's hear it. Give us a call at 869-465-2555, Monday to Friday from 11 a.m. to 12 noon. One solid hour of in-depth analysis of the machinery that makes our country tick. The Edge, cutting into the matters at hand.
Hello and welcome back to The Edge in ZIZ Radio 96.1 FM. I'm your host, Devonne Cornelius, and thank you so much for joining me on the program for today. It is 7 minutes past the 11 o'clock hour, and I'll get right into the conversation. Thereafter, I'll open the phone lines and give you an opportunity to lend your voice to the discussion. Over the past few weeks, there have been lots of conversations, or a lot has been said regarding the sitting of the National Assembly that took place, I think it was last week, Thursday, where the resolution was adopted following a report by the 2019 Salaries Review Commission. And I have here with me the report, and I'll use the opportunity to share with you some of the information that was put in that report. So this is the Salaries Review Commission, St. Kitts and Nevis, and it is a report on the remuneration for members of the Federal Parliament of St. Kitts and Nevis. And so the Salaries Review Commission Act 2009 provides for the establishment of a commission titled, or as titled by the Act, its functions as well as related to or incidental matters. The Act calls for the appointment of 5 persons, that be a chairperson and 4 other members, by the Governor General, and that such appointment be done after consultation with the Prime Minister and the Leader of the Opposition. So in this report, it speaks to the scope of assignment of the Commission and the consultative process, which includes a summary, the frequency of salary review, official residence for the Prime Minister, the pay structure within the Parliament, the augmentation of salaries, constituency allowance and its purpose, ministers holding 2 separate cabinet portfolios, perceived irregularities within the system. It also speaks to the roles, functions and emoluments of parliamentarians, the economic indicators such as the GDP between 2005 and 2018. It goes on to speak about benefits and allowances such as transportation allowance, entertainment allowance, telephone, housing, constituency, and more. It also has a section that speaks to recommendation and government pay structure. Of course, I would not get the opportunity to go through all of this for today, but I will just be sharing some of the highlights of this. So the report, the Salaries Review Commission 2019 report, says that the members of the commission were or are Howard McCrane, Dr. Henry Brown, Dr. Arnaldo Bailey, Mrs. Brenda John, Mr. Franklin Maitland, and those are the members. So the scope of assignment of the commission, and the commission was asked to review and make recommendations on the salaries and other conditions of service of the Governor General and members of Parliament and holders of such offices as may be prescribed, review the pension benefits payable to persons who are qualified to review such benefits. Now, the Commission identified for consultation a cross-section of public and private sector stakeholders, civil society leaders, past and present holders of the above stated positions. The invitation, and it has a list, I'll get to that later. The Commission was therefore unable to, the invitation to meet with the Commission was not embraced by the chair or the leader of the opposition and opposition parliamentarians, the chair of the St. Kitts and Nevis Labour Party, and the chair of the Nevis Reformation Party. The Commission was therefore unable to share with those entities information and suggestions received from its board consultations and research, and to receive their recommendation on the subject matter. On the topic of, or under the headline or the headline of frequency of salary reviews. It says interviewees expressed concerns about the lapse in time between reviews. As previously noted, the last salary review was in 2005. It was generally felt that a system does not perform regular reviews is extricably flawed. The pay structure within Parliament, concerns were expressed over the levels of pay for certain key positions within the Parliament. These positions included that of the Speaker of the House and the Leader of the Opposition. A general consensus across the organizations interviewed was that the pay levels for those positions were too low given the significance of the roles within a democratic society. On the headline of the constituency allowance and its purpose, the interviewees generally agreed that the intended purpose of the constituency allowance is to provide for the operation of a constituency office, and that the actual amount, let me read that again. The interviewees generally agreed that the intended purpose of the constituency allowance is to provide for the operation of a constituency office, and that the actual amount provided was inadequate to achieve that purpose. Interviewees also indicated that the allowance as provided was used to assist constituents experiencing financial hardship. The current constituency allowance, I think, is at $2,000 per month, and so if you are an elected member of the Parliament, and I think it's for both St. Kitts and Nevis, so if you are an elected member of the National Assembly of St. Kitts and Nevis or the Nevis Island Assembly, you receive a constituency allowance, which I believe is in the amount of for a fact it is $2,000 per month in St. Kitts, and I believe for Nevis it is also $2,000. And of course the name says it all, constituency allowance. It is used for the constituency. And so just to look at the recommendations that were put forward and the establishment and maintenance of a basic pay structure. So a suggestion to government for aiding and simplifying the review requirements is the consideration of fixing parliamentary basic pay using the highest level of pay of the most senior public service officer as a benchmark, and applying a percentage adjustment upward or downward according to the office held to determine the basic pay of each parliamentary office. Once the public service is reviewed triennially by a panel of independent experts, the basic salaries of parliamentarians would therefore be amended at the same time. The Review Commission would then focus on the percentage amounts applicable, other benefits and allowances, and the arrangements for pensions. This system of automaticity is therefore recommended for consideration by government. If you're just tuning in, I'm reading some parts of the Salaries Review Commission 2019. The Salaries Review Commission, and this is a report that they did in 2019, which has since been accepted. So to break it down, the previous structure for, and I will begin with the Prime Minister, the basic salary was $11,000, travel allowance was $500, entertainment $1,000, telephone $250, housing was $2,800, and constituency allowance was $2,000, which brings it to $1,750. The amended emoluments is now $15,000 for the Prime Minister, $1,000 for entertainment, $500 for telephone, $3,600 for housing, and $2,000 for constituency allowance, which brings it to $22,100. For the Deputy Prime Minister, it was $8,500 as the basic salary, and to serve as deputy, $750. For travel, $800. For entertainment, $600. For telephone, $250. For housing, $1,800. And for constituency allowance, $2,000, which brought it to $14,700. For the Attorney General, it was $9,000 as the basic salary, $600 for entertainment, $250 for telephone, $1,800 for housing, and $3,500 for pay in lieu of private practice, which brought it to $15,150. For ministers of government, it was $8,500 as the basic salary, $800 for travel, $600 for entertainment, $250 for telephone, $1,800 for housing, and of course, as an elected member of the parliament, the $2,000 for constituency allowance, which brought it to $1,350. For a senator, it was $8,500 as the basic salary, $800 for travel, $600 for entertainment, $250 for telephone, and $1,800 for allowance. Senators do not receive constituency allowances as they are not parliament. They are not a constituency representative. So their salary would have been at $11,950. The Speaker of the House, the basic salary was $3,000. Entertainment was $300, which was $3,300. Deputy Speaker was the basic salary $2,700, with $500 for traveling allowance and $300 for entertainment, which brought it to $3,500. The Leader of the Opposition, their basic salary was $3,000, with $500 for travel, $300 for entertainment, and $2,000 for constituency allowance, which brought it to $5,800. An opposition parliamentarian would receive $2,500 as their basic salary, with travel being $500 and entertainment being $300. And as an opposition parliamentarian, you are a member of the parliament, and so that is. The conclusion of the report says that the Commission was guided by the reported state of the national economy, which was performed with satisfaction in recent years with anticipated sustainable economic development. The achievements of the annual current account surpluses are important to reduce reliance on capital grants and debt financing, which are becoming more difficult to secure. Attention to good fiscal legislation, physical infrastructure, and most importantly, a well-educated and skilled pool of human resources remain critical to achieve tangible success. Good governance criteria in public and private sectors is also fundamental. The Commission notes the ongoing work for government legislation to provide for integrity in public life, freedom of information, regulations to control political campaign financing, among others, considered vital to achieve better standards of practice. And that is the conclusion for the report. Now, there have been conversations ongoing on the air, via social media. People have been giving their take. Now, I saw a statement that was put out by the deputy chairman of the People's Action Movement, the Mr. John L. Powell, in agreeing with the increase, as he pointed to the work that parliamentarians do. Now, for some, it may be the view that parliamentarians don't do any work, but this is someone who was once a parliamentarian, and so he spoke from experience. He said, and I'm quoting, "I want to make it clear that I support the recently passed resolution increasing salaries for our parliamentarians. This is a matter that required attention and regularization for some time. Too often we underestimate the tremendous obligations and work done by parliamentarians and ministers of government in particular under the guise of politics. I also commend the current administration in having the Integrity in Public Life legislation operational prior to doing so. These were two vital initiatives that should have and would have been done under a team unity administration, but for the leader. I, however, implore the old adage, quote, to whom much is given, much is required. We expect better representation from our parliamentarians and ministers of government in particular moving forward as the stewards of our democracy." And so he is from parliamentarian, minister of government, in support of the increase, and basically said, people usually underestimate the obligation and work done by parliamentarians, ministers of government, and see that they're just people who maybe appear on a platform, they don't do much work. But from a former parliamentarian himself and minister of government, he is saying that it is something that was definitely needed or required attention. It is 24 minutes past the 11 o'clock hour. I don't want to hear your thoughts and views on this, and so we'll begin opening the phone lines and taking your calls at 465-2555, and we will facilitate our first call for this morning. Caller, good morning and welcome to the program. Hello, caller, you're on the air. Hello, caller, good morning, you're on the air. I'm not hearing the caller. Hello, caller, good morning, you're on the air.
Hello, blessed good morning, good program. But them parliamentarians take us for granted because we were the foot soldiers. So it's a lot of things that they benefit from us and we can benefit none from them. Thank you.
All right, it is 11:25. The phone lines are open. Do we have any callers on the line? We do. Let's take this call. Hello, caller. Good morning. You're on the air. Hello, caller. Good morning. Okay, we lost that. We're not getting that one. Caller, you're on the air. Good morning. Okay, let's take a break, and when we come back, we'll continue the conversation. You're listening to The Edge on ZIZ Radio 96.1 FM. We'll be right back.
The future is unknown. Protect your life, your family, and your valuables from unforeseen circumstances. Let National Caribbean Insurance give you the peace of mind that you so deserve. At NCI, we offer a suite of affordable insurance plans that can be tailored to ease your financial burden. We aim to deliver exceptional products to satisfy all your insurance needs. Whether life, health, motor, or property insurance, NCI has the right solution for you. Our friendly and knowledgeable sales professionals are ready and able to assist you. Let National Caribbean Insurance Company Limited help you to prepare for the unexpected. We serve, we protect, we satisfy. That's NCI.
Every day in a busy world, we have to do so much. Bank with CIBC and get that personal touch. Share your ambitions, let us help your dreams come true. At CIBC, you're at the heart of all we do. We're on your side, we're listening, we know the way you feel. CIBC, ambitions made real.
Hello and welcome back to The Edge here at ZIZ Radio, 96.1 FM. I'm your host, Devonne Cornelius. It's 11:27 and the phone lines are open. Let's take this call. Hello, caller, you're on the air. Good morning. Okay, we appear to be having some technical difficulties with the phone lines. Let me apologize for that. Okay, we're getting this call now.
Yeah.
Caller, you're on the air. Good morning. Go ahead.
Yeah, good morning, Devon.
Yes.
I hope they got some allowance for this telephone business what ZIZ can't connect. Anyway, Devon, I've been listening, you in introduction remarks and whatnot and what you read out. And this is my opinion. Devon, the only thing now they need to have allowance for is bathing. And when you're in your private room in your house, those two allowances need to be added. Now, what happening here in the Federation of St. Kitts? The government dropped down the money for the needy and they raise up the money for the greedy. And that is why you see in the island of St. Kitts Nevis, dog, I am dog in our little country. Thank you, Devon.
All right, Colin, thank you for your contribution to the program. It is 11:29. Let's head back to the phone lines and we will take this call. You got that one? Okay, we are still taking your calls. Caller, you on the air? No. We're still taking your calls. 4652555. We're having some challenges with the phone line, so please work with us. Hello, caller, you're on the air. Good morning.
Yes, that's true. They tap up the money and they forget the needy them and they want to talk about the $500 a day. And I think they should be the hospital, the smart hospital, back by the old hospital behind. Because behind they got a lot of space. Instead of waste up the money and get the needy them the money. Thank you.
All right, caller, thank you for your contribution. It's 11:30 and you're listening to The Edge. You can call us at 465-2555 or 718-577-2916. If you're just tuning in, we are on the topic of the Salary Review Commission, the report that they gave in 2019. Now, let's hold the calls and I'll give my take on this. Now, I have been doing my homework and I've been gathering my thoughts and even looking at some of the salaries of other parliamentarians. And I say parliamentarians because you are first a parliamentarian before you become a minister of government. So let me say parliamentarians so I don't leave out anybody. And so I've been following the conversation. I've been listening to the programs that have been had. I've been listening to the conversation. I've been reading the statements and Facebook posts and comments and all of that. And I myself have had one-on-one conversation with people about the salary review and the salary increase for parliamentarians. And so that is the Prime Minister, Ministers of Government, opposition leader, opposition members, and all of that. And so what this commission did was to recommend that they be given an increase so that they could effectively and efficiently carry out their duties. Now, if I am ever to become a parliamentarian and subsequently a minister of government, and let's say my salary is now at this one, where let's say it's about $14,000, $15,000. Now, as a constituent, you may think, by my MP going home with $14,000 or $15,000, that's a lot of money. When you look at it on a piece of paper, you would think, but yeah, that's some decent cash right there. But there are a number of things to take into consideration, right? There are a number of things to take into consideration, and let's begin going through them. Expenses, and not just expenses and we leave it there. We're talking about personal expenses and public expenses. And you might be asking me, what do you mean by public expenses? Remember now that you are a parliamentary representative. And let's just say you are the parliamentary representative for a large constituency. Your constituency has, give or take, 3,000 or 4,000 registered voters. And every day, on a regular, you receive at least 100 phone calls from your constituents. Some are looking for support, some are looking for help in different areas. Because you, as their parliamentary representative, that is who they're going to come to. They voted for you, and so they expect that you would deliver or improve their quality of living and make things better for them. And so now you're operating on a salary of $15,000 a month. You have your family to deal with, you have your mortgage to pay, but you also have the expectation of the public, where you may have to assist somebody who has a child who may be sick. You may have to help a family with taking care of some arrears that they have. You may have to sponsor a football game. You may have to sponsor a breakfast. By the time you look at that, you have negative $15,000. I've seen where parliamentarians who've gotten an increase have decided, well, a part of this increase, I'm going to donate it to a needy cause. And so I don't subscribe to parliamentarians being paid a $5,000 or a $6,000, because that $6,000 really and truly is not just for them. But the expectation is that when you become a parliamentarian, you're now literally a public official. People are going to look at you, and people are going to say, boy, he got money. And so when I have hardship, I going to call he, because he appear to have money. He's the parliamentary representative. He is who I voted for. And so anytime I have a problem, whether it be financial or whatever the situation is, I am going to call that person, and I'm going to make sure that that person gives me some sort of assistance. So let's say that the thinking of the Salary Reviews Commission was that because these are public officials, because these are elected members of the parliament, they're going to interact with thousands of people, not hundreds, but thousands of people on a daily basis. And everybody have a different need. I remember a year ago, leading up to the general elections of 2022, I was having the conversation. It was me and I think it was Peter Wickham and a friend of mine from Antigua, and we were talking politics. And we were talking about the demands that voters usually make, where there's some people who put themselves up for office. And they come, they're genuine, they really want to make a change, they really want to do something good for the country. And in order for them to do that, they first have to get elected. Because really and truly, you can't do much if you're not a member of the parliament, whether it be the National Assembly or the Nevis Island Assembly. But in order for you to be elected, you have a family coming to you and saying, boss, I got 15 votes in this house here. But in order for you to get these 15 votes, boy, you gotta give me a house. Or you gotta pay me light bill this month, next month, and the month after that. Or for this week, I want you to purchase groceries, and the bill can probably be $1,500 because I have a large family. And so because you want to get into office, not for your personal development, or not for your own what's the word I'm looking for here? But you get, I'm losing the word. But not just for you. You want to get into office because you have some sort of initiative that would help to lower the poverty rate. You have an initiative that would address the issue of crime and violence. You have an initiative that would address health care. But then you also have the demands of some voters. And to be quite frank, some of the demands that voters make are unreasonable. How are you going to look at a man and tell him, a parliamentarian, that you want a house, and in return you're going to vote for him? If you are asking your parliamentarian to give you a house for free, don't you think that there are several other people who are also asking for a house. But I saw a meme the other day. A meme is a little video thingy. And they were making joke about it. But it was serious. Where this politician was going to visit a household. And immediately the people were at him. They're like, boy, you want a house, but we ain't got no money. So I guess I'm being sympathetic and a bit understanding to parliamentarians, but the demands that are made of elected representatives, I'll be frank here, are ridiculous. And when I say elected representatives, I'm referring to both past and present. Because even when you don't leave office, there is this notion that you've left office with millions of dollars. And so people tell themselves, well, I want some of that because it's I put you there. So that is how I view it. If I am to become a parliamentarian, I wouldn't want to be working for $10,000 a month. Because I know really and truly that money, I ain't going to see none of it. I'm going to probably see $100 to buy myself a drink and then that's it. But I know I have the needs of the community to look after. Now, one may say that you have social assistance programs, you have different initiatives going on by the government or private sector. But we are well aware of the climate that we live in. Even though you give people a job, even though you help them with social assistance programs, when that time comes, they're going to say, is you me vote for? So you got to help me fix this problem. But this notion that elected officials should be making bottom of the barrel salary, I don't subscribe to it. After careful consideration and looking at all the factors, I don't subscribe to it. You're elected official making $5,000 a month. Then at the end of the day, you might be shortchanged, you might be losing out. That person may not be able to sponsor positive engagements in the community. That person may not be able to do much. There was even a conversation had about the constituency allowance. How far can $2,000 stretch if you are the MP for a constituency that has 8,000 people? Let's look at Jamaica, where Lisa Hanna, she has the largest constituency. And the constituency allowance received there could only probably provide for 2 or 3 families. But I voted for you. You are the parliamentary representatives. I don't care how much money you get, but I want my light bill to go back on. My child hungry and my child got to eat. You're listening to The Edge here on ZIZ Radio 96.1 FM. It is 11:41. We've been having some difficulties with the phone lines. Let me apologize for that. It is no fault of ZIZ. Let me state that for the record. It is 11:41. We'll try to take your calls at 465-2555 or 718-577-2916. Do we have any callers on the line? Do we have any callers? We'll take this call. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Devonne.
Good morning. Welcome to the program.
Yes, had a difficult time to get in. Anyway,
my apologies.
First, I always want to thank God for the Federation of things it needed. Devonne, I listened to you, and I listened to the Attorney General this morning on a different radio talk show too. Let me know the payment and stuff for the ministers then. I don't give me opinion about it, right? But Devonne, I believe politics is killing this country as a human being and a star for your country. People don't want to stand up for nothing. Now listen to me, Devonne. I remember 2019 when the farmer government implement this thing, the payment for ministers. It was a big issue. I remember a freaking caller calling them for the next radio talk show, spitting out fire out him out like a dragon, talking to Timothy Rabin, Pam Rabin, all them to Rabin, see the just guy and they're going to go raise government, they're going to go talk about salary increase and all kind of things for parliamentals. And Devonne, look at it now. These are the same people now backing up the government and this now. Devonne, you see, listen, as I said then, I have no problem with government or whosoever take an increase because they deserve it. Government ministers, they don't work hard. You understand? And now, they're backing it up and saying all kind of things about the farmer administration put this in place and put that in place. It was there in place. But who now bring it to the parliament and recommend it? It's the same government and the same people was criticizing it now, endorsing the government to bring it. But you see, Devonne, it's how the politics go here, you know, and it's going to always be. We will never get nothing. And right now, I don't think that we got no opposition, no strong opposition to oppose nothing in parliament, like these things. And everything go like that. Now, Devonne, and next thing again, Devonne. Now,
quickly, so you could take some
do
more
you
calls.
think that, like when, look how they're going to the summit in Guyana. Do you think that 5, 9, 6, 7, 8 people got to go? You don't think it's an injustice to the country, to the taxpayers when you're picking up just to go to a summit to Guyana?
If I think
Devonne, let me tell you something. I love my country. I'm a conscious man about my country. And I ain't in no back and forth politics with nobody. I talk in constructive, and I constructive, I criticize constructive, and when I see wrong, I call out wrong.
All right. Thank you.
Okay then, Devonne, yes.
Thank you. Let's take a few more calls. Hello, caller. You're on the air.
Yes, good afternoon, Mr. Cornelius.
Yes, sorry.
And blessed day to everyone. We have a lot of ships in, and it's a lovely day, a little bit hazy, but good. Now, optics in politics are very important. That is the reason why President Biden is so low in the polls. And he might lose, he might have to end up dropping out as a candidate for Democrats, or he might lose the general elections in November. And this is not because the economy is doing badly. In fact, they have indicated the growth, the number of employment that has taken place over the year, etc., etc. But in the background, you have the issue of the Gaza situation and the border things and all the rest of it. So I would say something is wrong about the optics here with how this was done in terms of the payment, because not to condemn or to criticize a payment and an increase, but at the very least, I believe it should have been staggered. Yes, the rationalizations that you have mentioned and others have mentioned in terms of why the increase should be given, maybe those are quite good. But at this point, where you had to struggle to get a minimum wage increase after 10 years, and then staggered it for the lowest workers here, and then to give this significant increase, no matter how you describe how much they've done, because all politicians in the past, representatives, have had to do all of these things. And Thatcher used to say, don't take the money out of your pocket. They need to know that. Don't take the money out of the pocket. You can refer them to the appropriate departments for what have you and so on. But that is their personal thing. And don't tell me that you don't have so many bright people in St. Kitts and Nevis that you can't get good people, because they always want to be there to come to the fore. So again, I would say optics look bad, and I don't think they could make any changes, I suppose, now. But at the very least, they should have staggered the way the money is rolling out. Thank you.
Thank you, caller, so much for your contribution to the program. The phone lines are open, and we are taking your calls. Do we have a caller? We do. Caller, you're on the air. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm doing good, thanks.
Yes, I have to speak about the constituency, the money that your leader for the constituency, when they're campaigning, they come to you and you tell them they want a house or whatever. They're not taking, if they win, they're not taking the money out of their pocket to give you a house. They're only making a way that you could get a house, but you have to pay for it. So like when you're talking about, you tell them they want a house, they're not giving it to you free.
Yeah.
You have to pay for it, but you're just asking them that they could be able to pull a string more than, instead of going to Tom, Dick and Harry, I want a house. But I have to pay for the house. So even how you're talking is like they're taking out the pocket and giving it to you.
Yes.
They're not doing it.
Yes, caller.
That is how I understand you.
Yes, I totally understand what you're saying and agree with you. But I think you've misunderstood me. I said that to say that there are people who will tell you straight up they want the house before they vote for you.
Well, that is nonsense, because if I'm not in Parliament as yet and I'm campaigning, I want a house, that is ridiculous.
Yes,
totally ridiculous.
Yes, I understand, but I do understand what you're
That's
saying.
totally ridiculous. If you come to me and say, I need a house, really, you campaign, you're not in Parliament, even if you're in Parliament, you're campaigning. Right now, you're not in Parliament, you're campaigning. You don't know if you're going to get back in. So I'm going to tell you, well, okay, when you get back in, remember me, I want a house. But not for free.
All right, thank you.
You're not taking it out of your pocket, so the money what they get, that does not say it's qualified that they should get that money. And number one, the thing is that they're talking about the Jews since 2005. All I see in Parliament who's due for that money is Denzel Douglas, Sean Richards, DeMarc, and the other people. They was in Parliament all the time. These were just coming. I don't think they should get no money. And number one, the economy. Come on, they just gone in this age talking about, since 2005. Were you there since 2005? No. You just get in. Relax yourself and see what's going on, and then you take a raise. You just, it ain't 2 years since you're gone in, and now you're going to talk about it just this all the time. I hear him say this morning is not everything they condemn you Team Unity, quite right, because they didn't condemn the ways that they had there. But they could not go in Parliament with the ways because of the pandemic. The pandemic, you understand? And if they had do that, they'll say, oh, they're so wicked, this thing, and nobody walking and they still want a raise. So Team Unity did the best thing. John talking, please. You only shouldn't bring that on the ear. Anyway, you have a nice day.
All right, caller, thank you so much for your contribution to the program. We're taking your calls, 465-2555. Do we have another caller? We do. Let's take this call.
Hello?
Hello, caller. Good morning. You're on the air.
Yes, good morning, yes. Well, I listened to everything you would have explained. But I want to agree that politicians are the ones who put the supporters in this position. I think they have made supporters and voters to be beggars. Because in their campaigning, they make a lot of individual promises that they fully well know that they can't fulfill once they get to office. So when people come and ask them for things, it's because they were promised things, and that's why people react in that way. And voters and supporters now want handout to vote. They created that atmosphere. Now, my question is the economy in that good position? Because I remember well back then we were in the red. Can the economy afford this increase? My concern is why you had to do the most needy people increase had to be split in two. But these politicians take one big increase. They could have staggered it. They could have do it half just like they did with the minimum salary increase. So I'm saying is that the politician had to look at the way they do things and the way and the promises that they are making prior to running for office.
So, quick question quickly before you go. You could respond or not. You mentioned if the economy could support the increase for the parliamentarians, right? And then you mentioned the minimum wage increase. If the economy could support a minimum wage increase from $360 to $430 and possibly to $500 next year for, let's say, thousands of people, why won't it be able to support an increase for about 20 people?
20 people at what increase?
I'm referring to the increase for the parliamentarians.
But they have to explain that to us that we are concerned. That's what I'm saying. I am concerned whether we can handle both then.
All right.
No and theirs. Because just like it came to us, I think it was last year when you said the economy was in the red after you say it was good and going into office. Then you came back shortly after and were in the red, and there was some explanation about cash on hand as to obligations that the government would have. Now I'm saying that has things gotten so much better that we could afford both increases within the same year? And the significant amount in the increases. Are we in a position, maybe they need to explain that to us, let us know what condition financially that the country is in. And so maybe persons become more understanding. But I'm thinking that the way, and like we said, this new government is in for 2 years, going up on 2 years. They haven't, in my opinion, they haven't proven themselves yet for an increase of that amount. Just like the average man, when you go on a job, you have to pass probation stage before you get the increase, and then you have to perform for increase. Has they performed to the best of their ability or to the satisfaction of the country, the majority of the country, that they deserve that number of that amount in increase? If you ask me, I would say no. And so these are the things that we need to look at. I mean, like we said, the persons who need the increase most, had they split in two. Now, all the way next year, June, July, that's about a year and a half before they get the other half. And then that's my input for now. Thank you.
Thank you, caller, so much for your contribution to the program. We have another caller. Let's take the calls.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning, caller. Welcome to the program.
Yeah, right. What you have to remember is that it's the politicians, I agree with that caller, that the politicians are who fostered this thing about this begging thing. No citizen have a right going to any politician saying that I want a house, because implicit in that, or want anything else, because implicit in that is that, well, I'll vote for you if you give me that. We should finish away with this transactional type politics. It's killing the country, right? And as someone said, it's not the politicians' money anyway, right, for them to be doling out like that, right? You have systems, NHC and all the systems, apply for the house and do so on a criteria basis, and if it and get it fairly, right? Because so many people are involved. How do you distinguish which citizen to get and which not to get? And the thing with the constituency allowance, some constituencies are overall have more well-to-do citizens than others. Is it fair to members of parliament to be saying that some of those in the poorer constituencies should be doling out their money that they get, while others in a different constituency won't be affected as much? It's inherently unfair. And the last thing, the Attorney General said this morning that the ministers, no minister work less than any permanent secretary. That is not so, right? Well, he can have that opinion, but that is not so. The ministers, the permanent secretaries, are the one who really do all the heavy lifting, right? I mean, it reminds me of somebody saying that Biden get paid to make decisions, not to make speeches, right? They don't even write the speeches themselves anyway. So it is the decision making, and hopefully they make the right one, that they are involved in, not the day-to-day, unless you're micromanaging your ministry. You don't make, there's no way that any minister can be working as hard as any permanent secretary. I would challenge that any day. Right?
But back on the transactional politics, right? I hear you, caller, and I do agree with you that we need to do away with it. But let us be real. I like to be real here. Do you really feel that that day is going to come when you want to become, let's say you're entering politics for the very first time? You think you're going to walk through a constituency and you tell somebody vote for you and they say yes, yes, yes? You're gonna have to
but you see, people like to use that let's get real thing, and the reality is, we know what the reality is. That is the reality. But is that reality one that we should be really fostering? We should try to change that. And don't tell me it can't be changed, right? Because everybody doesn't do that. Everybody don't run to a politician and asking for favors, right? So it can be changed. It's just that some people are desperate and really need the help. No question about it.
I hear you, but, I'll tell you, while I don't agree that it shouldn't be happening, I don't think it could change.
You don't think it would change?
No, it doesn't apply to everybody, eh? everybody is not going to run to a politician and say, I want a handout.
Exactly.
Right?
And don't you think...
I don't think it's going to change.
Don't you think, as a general rule, people feel better if they have a job, can support themselves and their family and so on, without having to do that? Because it's
some
dignified.
People, I'll tell you, Carla, some people, but I'm telling you, I have come across people who have everything in the world. They have a job, a perfect family, connections, and they still want more. That is the human nature. You want more and more and more and more and more. So I hear you, I understand, and I agree with you to some extent. But I am being realistic. Not to say that it should continue, but to say it ain't gonna stop.
It ain't gonna stop.
Ain't gonna stop.
But
everybody ain't gonna do it.
Though, one point.
Everybody will not do it. But
one point that you made though, you got to remember at the very outset, the baseline is the politicians are indeed some of the higher paid workers in the civil service, right, in public service. And as such, the starting point, it's tough to compare them with somebody at the bottom rung in the civil service, right, who themselves, I think, need the increase more than the top end. Because remember, when you get across the board increases, somebody at the lower end, right, let's say you get 10%, that person who gets 10%, that 10% is far less than 10% of somebody who's making $10,000.
Yes.
Right? So over time, you realize what can be happening. The disparity between them, the difference between them becomes larger and larger. And that's certainly, at some point, that's going to affect things like morale and that sort of thing in the organization. Okay, so there are lots of aspects to this. I generally think that they should have a raise. It's just the quantum. And as somebody suggested, just like how they had a two-tiered, well, not two-tiered really, but they did it in a stepwise fashion for the minimum wage, they could have done the same thing here with the higher end of the public service. Okay.
All right. We're out of time. Thank you so much for your contribution to the program. It is now noon. We have to end the conversation. For the midday news. We'll continue tomorrow. Until next time, you guys stay safe. Have a good one.